What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. And I've just got to say before I start this review, 2022 is shaping up to be quite a good year for horror. As today, I want to talk about one of my more anticipated movies of this year, and that is Pearl. This is the extraordinary prequel, the prequel to Ty West's film X, and this is the second installment in what is more recently been announced as being a trilogy. So, with that being said, let me give you my thoughts. Let's get into it. In 1918, a young woman on the brink of madness pursues stardom in a desperate attempt to escape the drudgery, isolation, and lovelessness of life on her family's farm. Now, first, I want to talk about a few of the things that I quite enjoyed about this before getting into what I think is the main highlight. First and foremost, this movie looks beautiful. It has sort of that technicolor feel. The colors are just so vibrant and saturated, just, bursting with reds and greens and blues. It looks just fantastic. And one thing I think I can officially say now about Ty West and his abilities as a director is he really knows how to capture the essence, at least from a visual perspective. He can capture that so well of a particular time period, as he did so well with X in the late 70s and now this in the late teens. But so much of this film's visual presentation is reminiscent of a lot of old kind of classic Hollywood movies from the 40s and 50s. And I'm a huge fan of a lot of movies from that time period. I've seen quite a few of them, old classic movies, and so just kind of hearkening back to that almost kind of the golden age of Hollywood type feel. It was just kind of a pleasure to watch and a real treat. Also, too, the musical score that accompanies this movie is just great. And again, it harkens back to some of them old films. And it just has such this intense, loud, orchestral score that's just very over the top, but in a good way that I think just really adds something special to this film. This is a very unique score for a horror movie, but I think it just works so well because a lot of this movie plays out like a drama in just a very dramatic way, and there's just very intense feelings and emotions, and so just kind of that really intense over the top score just really plays so well with this movie. This film looks beautiful, the score is just terrific. But the highlight of this thing, as I'm sure it will probably be for anybody who watches this, is Mia Goth. She's phenomenal in this and is just captivating. She's probably in every single scene in the movie, and you just can't take your eyes off of her. Pearl is a film it's a character-driven film more so than a plot-driven film. The story, having seen X, the story here kind of plays out fairly straightforward and in general kind of plays out how you would expect. And so really why we're watching is to see sort of the character arc and the journey that Mia Goth goes on from the beginning to what we know ultimately she's going to turn into. And to me, she gives one of the best performances I have seen so far this year. To me right now, it is kind of neck and neck between her and Rebecca Hall in Resurrection. And she's just phenomenal. She does such a good job of creating this character in the beginning that, in a way, you can kind of sympathize and feel for. Knowing her situation that she's in, she has these dreams and these goals and these hopes that she can one day, go be a dancer. And she wants to break free of this life that she's in. And she's got a really difficult relationship with her mom, who is kind of borderline emotionally abusive and just very strict and cold. And then her dad is basically an invalid, and so just difficulties there and life on the farm and responsibilities, and she just wants to live her life and do her own thing. And so she creates a character that you can kind of get behind and you root for, which is interesting now, knowing having seen her first in X and knowing what she becomes, but now sort of having feelings for that type of character is just a testament to her abilities. I also like, too, that the movie has some visual references to Wizard of Oz, and that really kind of plays into her character. She has sort of that Dorothy, right? I mean, she doesn't sing the song, but she's dreaming of somewhere over the rainbow where, her dreams can come true and all that stuff. And then, there's the one of the highlight scenes with the Scarecrow, which is really kind of starts off entertaining and then slowly turns kind of weird and disturbing, but a good scene nonetheless. But also too, there's the scene of her on her bicycle with her black top hat, which is a reference to Mrs. Gulch from The Wizard of Oz, and she ultimately becomes the Wicked Witch, right? And so there's just a bit of that sort of visual implication there, that visual connection of like, yeah, but don't forget who this character really is. She's the Wicked Witch, right? And so I like that. And I have to say too, her scene later on in the movie, Mia Goth gives this, it's got to be at least a 10 to 12 minute long single uninterrupted take of a monologue that is just incredible. And it's kind of funny because Rebecca Hall, who I also said was my favorite performance of the year, has a very long monologue in her film as well. So something about the long, uninterrupted monologue is just really doing it for me this year. But Mia Goth just sells the crap out of this performance, and then when things kind of all hell breaks loose and she becomes just completely unhinged, man, she's just riveting. You can't take your eyes off her. She's just awesome. I can't say enough good things about her performance here. She is just fantastic. So I think it probably goes without saying, but I quite enjoyed Pearl. I don't know if I enjoyed it quite as much as X, but it's really close. Either way, these are two really solid films that I definitely recommend. And it gets me even more excited for Maxine, which is going to be the third part in this trilogy. So with all that being said, if you haven't seen it yet, please go check out Pearl. Make sure you watch X first. But yeah, so I think for a grade, I'm going to go probably going to be like 7.5 out of 10 for Pearl. It's quite good, and obviously I'd recommend it. So hit me up down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. Would love to hear from you. That's all I got for you today. Please hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoy horror and thriller movie content, that is what I do on The Haunted Beard. So hit that button, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.